I have to say that I'm not feeling very hopeful for the game tomorrow. I feel like it's too much of a tall ask at this point in time, because it implies that not only do we have to outscore Real Madrid, but most importantly, the most important thing is we can't concede. And throughout this season, we've lacked any killer instincts to be able to finish games off or seal them, or even score more than like a goal or two in a game. And you're telling me that we have to also not concede against Madrid? I think it's too much. And I guess my biggest fear about the game tomorrow is that when we're out of the Champions League, where's the motivation going to come from? With our remaining games in the Premier League, games against Brentford, City, Newcastle, Arsenal, etc., etc. Most of these games are against top 10 teams in the league, and throughout the season statistically, we've been very poor against any team in the top half of the table. So I kind of feel like when we lose tomorrow, this is going to just kill any last bit of motivation, desire, or anything this team has, because these guys are currently in terrible form right now. There's no confidence anywhere. The ironic thing is that there seems to be quite a lot of pressure to perform against Madrid tomorrow. I mean, reports came out to state that Todd Boehly and the owners were in the dressing room after the defeat against Arsenal, and they were there for over an hour, and they were quite critical. They had comments and words to say. And it gets me thinking, okay, like, what are the real ramifications of missing out on Champions League football? Because, of course, financially it's not going to help. But is there a bit more to things? Are the consequences a bit deeper than we realise? Because I'm sure these guys are expecting, of course, that we have no hope to do anything realistically against Real Madrid. So the fact that there's a lot of pressure right now to get these guys performing, and maybe it's my own poor way of interpreting the press conference, but I felt like I saw Lampard and Kepa also re-emphasising the fact that this is still an important game with a lot to play for. So time is going to tell to see what happens, but I think if there's any hope in hell to at least put in a good performance, at least on a bare minimum level, we have to do the complete opposite to what we did in the first leg. And I have to say, with Lampard's approach in that first leg, I felt very disappointed, to be fair with you. I felt it showed way too much respect to Real Madrid. And there was a few things in that game that really ticks me off. Number one, the amount of space given to Vinicius Jr. Now, did we not learn lessons in the first leg last season? When 2 goals scored in that first half that came from Vinny breakaways was the thing to cause us danger. And throughout the entire game in the first leg recently, how many diagonal runs behind from Vinny and Rodrigo? And did it make sense to put Fofana man v man with Vinny? I'm not too sure. If anything, a double act was kind of needed to try and, stop that threat in behind. But Fofana, after 4 minutes, was out. The confidence was gone, and he kind of felt like, okay, Vinny is a superior opponent here. The pace is too much for us. And the fact that he had no real support down that right-hand side, what is that doing from a tactical perspective to help us get a result, to do something positive against Real Madrid? And it kind of hurt me seeing that we made this exact same mistake against Brighton over the weekend, where Matoma, against Trevor Chalobah. Chalobah did the best he could do. Matoma's one of the best left wingers in the league by far. The guy's technique is ridiculous. But we did the same thing that we did for Vinny. So are we going to make an improvement in the second leg tomorrow? I don't know. I feel like we showed way too much respect. We didn't press or close them down. We didn't really go man v man. We allow them to play on the ball. We're allowing guys like Kroos and Modric to stay deeper, but they had time and space to play any balls they wanted. And that moment where Ben got a red card came from Kroos playing a ball over the top under no pressure. And it's just against Madrid, you can't play like that. You can't show that much respect. And even though we had the oddful amounts of counter-attacks, they weren't really enough to get a result and really damage and cause danger against Real Madrid. Most of the attacks had no wide support because the wing-backs can't get forwards. And when they did get forward, there was no one there to link up with. So, listen, the commentators were saying that was great that for a team that's 10 men down, we only conceded twice against Real Madrid. But I think that is not really saying much about this season or this team right now. That is seen as a small win. I think that really shows us how far the levels have fallen this season, and I needed a bit of time to try and make sense of how the season's been so much of a disaster and a mess, and probably the worst season in our recent history. I feel like maybe I've thought of a few things. I'll discuss them in separate videos during the week. But my friends, if you want to do anything against Real Madrid now, we have to do the opposite of what we did in the first leg. And it's up to Frank Lampard now to pick the right selection put in a performance to make the fans energized, to at least bring some pride back. Like, if I lose this game tomorrow, I want to lose with my head held up. I want to lose where it was tight, but we came close, where it could have been what if that. If we don't show that, then I think, yeah, the season just needs to be cancelled right now, my friends. So in today's preview, I'm going to go through the lineup I have to see tomorrow. I'm not even going to guess the Lampard's going to pick. I want to see the lineup I want to see tomorrow. I'm going to discuss that, and of course, I'll give my prediction at the end. So share your thoughts and opinions, get involved in the discussion, and like, how are you actually feeling for tomorrow? Like, it'd be really nice to read your guys' thoughts, to see what the vibe is throughout all of you right now. We now move on to my predicted lineup, and as you guys can see on the screen beside me, it's a 4-3-3. It has to be, because I need to see guys in midfield going man v man against Real Madrid's midfield. And up front, I need to see pace up front. So as you guys can see, Mudryk on the left, I've gone for Havertz on the right hand side, and surprisingly, I've gone for Sterling up front. Midfield, Mount on the left, Kante, Enzo in defence. I guess it has to be Cucurella. Fofana and Silva, but a part of me was also thinking Fofana and Chalobah, and I explained why. And of course, James on the right. I'd say Mendy, but I don't see him playing tomorrow, so I guess it has to be Kepa. So I'm going to explain this lineup, and let's start up front. I'm going to start with Raheem Sterling. Now, during the summer, I wasn't actually too excited for this move. I kind of felt like, statistically, Sterling was trying a lot of, like, a downward spiral in, like, dribbling, take-ons, things that create space and disrupt opposition teams. They're some of the basic things we missed out on, and we haven't really had a top-class dribbler since Eden Hazard, and the difference that used to make for us was out of this world. I kind of feel was a pointless signing. I think it's been proven this season, but I've got some sympathy. I think the fact that he has been injured, and the fact that he's been used everywhere, like up front, in behind, on the right, on the left, it just screams a lack of continuity, a lack of structure, a lack of anything. So, I mean, of course, players, no matter how good you are, you're going to suffer when you don't have those like base foundations to fall on, right? But the reason why I've gone for Sterling up front is that I think out of all his performances this season, when he's played up front, he's a bit better. And the fact that he doesn't have footwork, like he can't skip passes, man. He relies on body feints that are getting a bit easier to predict and just pace now. I think his movement in behind, at least, the fact that if he was 1v1, out of all the other forwards we have, there's a bit more confidence that Sterling, who's been there time and time again throughout his career, could actually do something. And I think against Madrid, you need pace. Yeah, we don't have a target man. We don't have someone to hold the ball. I don't want someone going man v man against their physical defense, but as we saw with Timo Werner, the power of pace, the power to push back the opposition team's defensive lines, open up the spaces, to make those runs in behind, to be an outlet for balls over the top. At least Sterling can do that, and I think he makes more sense as a forward compared to playing out wide, where I think he's very wasteful, to be fair with you. So Sterling up front. On the right, I've gone for Havertz, because his best football we saw in March came from the right hand side. That link to the midfield, the fullbacks. I think that Reece James, if he gets forward, he needs someone who has like a left foot on that right hand side that he can combine with. I think that type of balance is what we kind of need, those combos. So I think Havertz on the right, but at least he has the license to make those late man runs, because Havertz just isn't good enough leading the line. That's the reality. And on the left hand side, I've gone for Mudryk. I just think that extreme pace, and the fact that against Real Madrid in the first leg, that Camavinga, Carvajal were on yellow cards, and we put zero pressure out wide to even get one of these guys sent off. I think that's so poor. And already, Mudryk has really caused so much damage to Carvajal throughout his career already. And I just think that his pace and behind, that is the key thing. Because there are going to be moments where we're going to be defending, and we're going to need that outlet. We're going to need someone to carry the ball further up or to make that run in behind. And I think Mudryk, with a bit more space against Madrid, could be a secret weapon for us. So that is my front three. In midfield, I think it's self-explanatory. And I say it's a massive shame that, for me, this is by far our best midfield three. We've never seen these guys play before, which kind of sums it up, right? You look at every big club, you know what their, first team guys are. For us, it's been a massive struggle for a very long time. But I need to see Mount on the left-hand side. And I just think that the criticism this guy's got throughout his entire Chelsea career is so misguided. I think to myself, where does this misguided type of criticism come from? No one's saying he's the greatest player at all. But for his importance for the team to be just reduced that much, I think now that he's been out the team for the past 2 months, I don't know for the viewer watching this, but for me, I think he's really showing what has been lacked, what's been missed. You know, we've missed quality from set pieces. A lot of the stats that Mount would get from assists, they came from dead balls, from set pieces, you know, stuff that we used to get goals from, stuff that's also important. But at the time, that was taken for granted as, that's not a real assist, that's no creativity. But Mount isn't an Odegaard, Mount isn't Ozil. He's an attacking mid, he's a midfield player. So he has to be seen in a fairer light. But I think Mount, I need someone who doesn't show any respect for the opposition. That's what Mount does. And he has the quality playing forward, combo plays. The guy's a great team player. He has to play on the left-hand side. Now, for me, on the right, I have to see Enzo. I don't want to see Kante there, even though Kante's counter press is good. But I just think that Enzo has better box threat. Enzo can bring more efficiency in our play in the final third, and that's what we missed in the first leg. But how many times are we playing wasteful balls and wasteful balls? Enzo doesn't waste the ball like that, and the guy has a goal threat in him. I want him on the right hand side, and I prefer Kante in the middle. I think that if it came to defending against the pace of Vinny and Con the counter attack, at least Kante in the deeper position, tracking runners, following runs, giving support out wide to the fullbacks, being protection in front of the defense is a lot more safer than using Enzo there, in my opinion. So I'd like to see a midfield three like this, where they have the tenacity, the fight, the quality, the skill. I think it's quite balanced, even though there's no height there. And in defense, of course, no Ben. Cucurella is going to play. Lord knows what he's going to do. Of course, Fofana, you have a bit of nightmares, of course, after that first leg. I've gone for Silva for his experience, but I guess my fear with Silva is that because he doesn't have the same pace, can we really push the lines up to really force Real Madrid back in their half? Because the reason we could do that under Tuchel was that we played in the back three, and that gave us more protection and license to do that. So for the sake of the team, does it make more sense to use Chalobah in defense over Silva in a game like this if it means that we can engage higher up as a team to press them down? We need to score goals, so I'll let you guys give me the answer to that. And of course on the right, Reece James, and I think that's a classic battle where he's 1v1 against Vinny, is a lot better than having Fofana or Co alongside him. So that's it with Kepa in goal, and let's hope that at least he can save a long shot that comes his way or does something from a set piece. But I don't have too much confidence when it comes to him being key in the moments. So that's my lineup out the way. No Felix at all this time. It's got to be a balanced flipping team, for God's sake, and no more forcing man to make stuff happen. So I'm going to give my prediction right now. I'm saying all this, but I'm still expecting us to actually lose the second leg. I'm going to be going for a 3-1 loss. I just think that the more we push forwards, we're going to leave ourselves more open. And again, it's all about controlling the game, scoring the right moments, defending the right moments. All these things that top teams need a bit more time to work on behind the scenes in training grounds. And throughout the season, it's been like an amalgamation of different ways of playing, different tactics, different players being used, different roles, but there's been no continuity. That I think it's to be an incredible ask if this team did anything tomorrow to make a comeback. Because if we made a comeback, for me, it's one of the greatest comebacks of all time, because it just doesn't even theoretically make sense how we could tomorrow. I just think that to play that high level game against Madrid, you have to be a team that is like an actual team, and we still aren't a team right now, and that's what having this season we are. So my friends, that is the preview out the way. Share your thoughts and opinions. I'm NiniFC, this is BlueLionsTV. Catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.